Hi, I'm Jeremy, and you're listening to Verse by Verse. The opening verses of the Gospel of John are designed to remind us of the opening verses of the Old Testament. They even start with the same words, in the beginning. The first thing God creates during the creation week is light. That's day one. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. John's Gospel takes us back to the creation narrative and shows us that the Word, that is, the member of the God family who would eventually come to earth as Jesus Christ, was there in the beginning too. Verse 3 of John chapter 1 says, "All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men." There's a thematic link here. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light." And then we're told that the Word is filled with life and light. And then in verse 5, where I want to focus today, John writes, "And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it." My New King James Bible has a footnote next to comprehend, and it says the Greek word for comprehend can also mean overcome. Now, when I see something like that, it's usually my cue to start doing some digging into what's going on in the translation process. One easy way to start is by looking through a couple other Bible translations and seeing what's different. The English Standard Version, for example, renders John 1:5 as, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That's interesting. It goes with overcome instead of comprehend, but it also says shines instead of shined. I wonder why. The Amplified Version, which often adds extra words and synonyms to help convey the meaning of difficult Hebrew and Greek words, translates it this way: "The light shines on in the darkness, and the darkness did not understand it, or overpower it, or appropriate it, or absorb it, and is unreceptive to it." And the Wycliffe Bible says, "And the light shineth in darknesses, and darknesses tooken not it." That's not really relevant, except for the fact that it's written in Middle English, and Middle English always makes me laugh. Anyway, the Amplified Version brings out a couple interesting things. It says that the light shines on, not shined. And in fact, most translations I looked at said shines or something similar. It gives the impression that the light is still shining, even as John writes down his gospel. It was shining then, and it's still shining now. And in fact, when you look at the Greek words John used to write that sentence, he's using the Greek present tense, which implies an ongoing action. It's shown in the past, and it's continuing to shine even now. God is preparing the reader for the arrival of Jesus Christ in the gospel account. The light of creation shines on even now, and we get to be in the presence of that light. But what about the darkness? The interplay between light and darkness is a theme John returns to again and again in his gospel account. It's a one-sided struggle. Here, we're reminded that even in the presence of darkness, the light shines, and the darkness cannot something. The Greek verb is katalambano, and it means to grasp, to lay hold of, to take, to seize upon, or to overtake. And darkness, by its very nature, cannot do any of those things to the light. Even the smallest light will push darkness back. It can't touch the light. But katalambano can also be used to metaphorically refer to understanding, realizing, grasping, or comprehending something. Understanding is kind of like mentally catching up to and grasping a concept. You understand it when you can seize it with your mind. And darkness can't understand light. It's more than just about who wins in a fight. Those who live in darkness cannot comprehend, cannot understand the light. Unless God calls us out of darkness and into that light, it is offensive and hateful and foreign and incomprehensible. Throughout John's Gospel, we see a distinction between those who walk in the darkness of the world and those who walk in the light of God. The religious leaders of the first century were so violently opposed to what Jesus was doing during his ministry that they orchestrated his execution. Because they walked in darkness, they could not understand, could not comprehend, could not make sense of the light of the world, even when he was right in front of them, doing exactly what the Old Testament had prophesied he would do. They hated him. They had him killed. They tried to snuff out the light. But it didn't work. The light shines in the darkness. Not shined, not past tense. Shines on, then and now and forever. God the Father and Jesus Christ call us to live within that light and to leave the darkness of the world behind. And even when it gets difficult, even when our obedience to God's way of life prompts others to hate us or even harm us, we have this reminder. The light shines in the darkness. And the darkness did not, cannot, will not ever overcome it.
Verse by Verse is a Life, Hope, and Truth podcast. Check out the show notes to find more free content, like videos, articles, and booklets in our Learning Center.